between urban and rural. Urban means a settlement where population is very high and has features of built environments. It includes cities and towns. The life is quite fast and complicated. The environment creates great isolation from nature. It's associated with non-agricultural work, like trade, commerce, or provision services. It is densely populated, and the planned settlement exists in the urban areas are developed according to the process of urbanization and industrialization. Social mobility is highly intensive, and the division of labor is always present at the time of the job allotment. Now, when we talk about rural, it means an area located in the outskirts. It includes villages and hamlets. The life is simple and relaxed. The environment is in direct contact with nature. It is often associated with agriculture and livestock. The population size is quite small in comparison with rural urban areas. The development is random, based on availability of natural vegetation and fauna in the area. Social mobility is less intensive, and the division of labor is non-existent.
A natural reserve would be the space in which flora, fauna, and other special interests are protected secure in their natural habitat. The focus of interest, like said before, it is to preserve the living beings that live among this habitat, or in the place in which they are protected. These places, in utility, they are actually very useful in terms for research and study of said different species.
The Reserva is a natural reserve with 500 hectares. There is guarded many trees like zapote, chaca, and caoba, but is mainly home of hundreds of types of birds. It is important because without places like this one, our environment and living beings like the ones habiting in the Reserva will have no home and no place to coexist with our environment. You can see the historical vestiges by observing the nature. There are some parts where you can appreciate them. I'm talking about the trees. There are trees that have been growing and expanding their roots countless years. Also, there are some rests of the Mayan ancient civilization. The belief at the Reserva that we could observe during the trip was that there is a strong connection with the nature. We form part of a ritual which connects our mind, heart, and body with the water, sun, and soil.
Gastronomy. The students of the 442 ate cochinita of the community, which was cochinita pibil. They offer us to drink horchata, water, tamarindo, and lemon juice. Also, after the ritual, we were offered the fermentation of the bariche tree, which releases a liquid that tends to taste like alcohol. The Reserva is divided in one region in which is divided in 60 communities. In the flora there are the bariche, the ceiba, the palo de tinte, trees of mamey and orange. Also is more common the caoba, the ananas commusus, that is the pineapples plant, and the most outstanding is the cedar, which requires 20 centimeters to be planted outside a pot. In the fauna, we can find jaguars, pumas, mosca chiclera. Around more than 50 species of birds arrives to the reserve, but the birds that more can be appreciated all the year is the bird rapaz. You can also get to see deer and parrots. During the tour, a ritual was performed, which was ritual at the 4 points: sun, moon, water, and earth. The language of the tour reserve is Santal. According to the interviews given and what we were told during the tour, was that even the little ones learn to use this language, since it's inherited from their parents.
What cultural elements are observed? First, upon arriving at the reservation, we noticed that the people there can speak another language, called Tzeltal. We also met a shaman. He showed us a way to thank the earth for being alive. He also taught us to say some words in his language. He gave us a drink called bolche and explained what it was. When we went to the cenote, after swimming, we ate, and they let us make tortillas by hand, which is very important in the Mexican cuisine. Identifications in the fieldwork. The bolche is an alcoholic beverage very common in the ancient indigenous cultures of Southern Mexico and Mesoamerica. The bolche they gave us had no alcohol, it was simply fermentation of the tree.
Types of prejudices, worries, and unconformities felt during the work. The first one is how people felt about the sun and the excessive walking. Some people weren't having the proper clothing or nor the proper shoes for the work. That means people that brought chanclas weren't really in the best way of walking in the rocks or the sun, the 2 kilometers we took. Another thing was talking with the people who had different lifestyles, the fear of asking them a question or offending someone. Because we had, of course, different ways of living, different lifestyles. We were of the city, they were of rural backgrounds. So that was one issue. Another issue was the insects, especially the mosca chiclera. Most people were scared of its bite, even after seeing the bite in the worker's eye. Another thing was the prejudice of and how the people brushed off the ritual as some sort of entertainment or tourist attraction instead of considering it a serious ritual and taking into account what the people were saying, what the shaman was sharing with us. There were of course also worries about health, hygiene, and conditions that people lived in. And one or two were uncomfortable eating the food near the monkeys because the fear of getting a parasite or not it being clean enough for them to eat. Of course, the last struggle was the language. People were nervous talking with the workers, with guides, especially after hearing that they weren't native Spanish speakers. But of course, after the trip and after a few conversations and dialects between one another, we got more comfortable with talking, and it was an issue that was easily resolved. Those were all the prejudices, worries, and unconformities for doing the work.
What ethical aspects should you consider in the work done? The ethical aspects that we had to take to begin with: be respectful with the people who live in that place, speaking with respect and showing interest in the information that they share with us. Do not make jokes about their beliefs, and neither treat them as if they were not human.
Personal experiences and group experiences. Samantha. I had a lot of fun and I learned new things. It's interesting how this world has so many things to give. Many times we're more interested in discovering what it is in it or in parts of the world that we do not realize that we have 1,000 things to discover in our country and especially in our state in general. Amelia Caro. It was a nice trip because we could appreciate nature and the surroundings. When we started our tour and entered to the Reserva, I was amazed by the sound of the birds. It was quite nice because I'm used to the noise of horse, people, and other things. So taking the time to get away from all those noises and listen to nature was pleasant. The tour was long and under the sun, and a classmate of mine called Pato was hurrying us to walk faster so we didn't stay behind. It became a little bit exhausting. But when we finally came back and they received us with lemonade, it was pretty good. But my shoes were full of thorns because of the flora of the Reserva. Andre. I was struck by the feeling of nature like I hadn't felt it before. Not all the time we can dip ourselves in the jungle. Not only that, but to also understand things we can encounter. How all this is such an important thing for a big part of our population. A very important thing is how they do everything in their power to protect and maintain their environment in which they work. How they do what they can in order to preserve their language and their culture. Something so familiar yet so distant, as if I was never raised with that knowledge. Diana. The ride was great. I liked everything we did. At first, I was tired because we walked a lot, but to get used to it, we learned many things. I think when we met the shaman, it was when we learned more about the culture. It was fun when we drank a fermented drink that tasted like medicine. I would like people to be more interested in this type of things and in the culture. Esteban. My experience in this trip was kind of interesting. Firstly, I need to say that this was my first experience on a school trip since I entered high school, so I was quite excited about it. During the trip, we visited the Reserva, which is a protected region that has 60 small villages or communities. We walked for about 15 to 30 minutes to a place where they perform a major ritual for us to be in contact with some of the god Mayans used to live in, and where they gave us a fermented drink called bate, which comes from a tree named the same. During the walk, we were told that in the area there were lots of different animals, such as jaguars, pumas, deer, raptors, parrots, and hummingbirds. After the visit to the reserve, we continued to our next destination, which was a little cenote where we swam with our other classmates, and we finished our day eating cochinita pibil, which is a very rich and common dish of the region. I enjoyed this trip a lot because I had the opportunity to spend time with my classmates, and I learned a lot about the Mayan culture. Jimena. This trip felt more like a roller coaster for me, a roller coaster of emotions. What I really liked about it, was the silence and the contact my classmates and I made with nature. There were any noises almost, no city, no people talking or cars honking, and all the tour was actually pretty nice, even though my feet were hurting for all that walking. It was really sunny, it was really hot, but I wouldn't say it was a bad experience. It was actually kind of educational, knowing the lives these people live in there, what they have to sacrifice in order to preserve what we little have of nature. It's actually kind of amazing. All these things they have to go on, they have to work to take care of these plants, to watch these birds, and to just disconnect from the city what we live the luxury of technology outside. It's like a completely different world. It really changes our perspective, especially when we were talking with a shaman and we made a ritual. And when the people in there tell us about the culture, the language, and really how they do things, it really opens a new perspective in you and in everyone else. It makes you more interested in what really is different from our own things we usually live. After everyone talking about the trip and each one's perspective, we came up with some agreement on what we like and what we dislike. First of all, most of us like the sound of birds and the contact we have with nature. We also appreciate the effort and the passion the tour guide and his work is put in order to share the lifestyle and experiences with us. The show we were drawn to had a divided opinion. It was some of us thought it was really beautiful and educational experience to show up and use the perspective of how making a culture is and its cosmology, but others thought it was more of a tourist entertainment and more like a nice experience just culture. There were also things that we didn't like in general, like the overbreak song, the harsh long walk, the same nervousness we felt during the trip while we were talking with the workers and the guide, because we didn't share really anything in interest more than the culture we were there to investigate. We didn't share styles. They were rural, we were urban. They were from other states like Chiapas, and we were from here in Cameroon. But what we had in common is that we had an interest in the culture, and we were trying to make a research about it and get informed about it and educated. And they were willing to share the information with us and show us the life. I think that there was a most important thing about this whole trip, and to get our people to share and to really actually perspective in what we're living a one that is overall and realize overall it was an experience, and we really hope we have a chance to proceed. I really enjoyed most of the bird trip, but I must say there was one part that particularly stuck for me. It was when the management tried to teach us about his people's customs and philosophy. The whole conversation felt so artistically based and so it was ridiculous. I didn't know what political was trying to prove, but there was no point in which I believed anything this one was saying was like a real modern man speaking. For 45 minutes, I and a group of 50 high school students were patronized with information that represented nothing that would make us wrong. At least that impression to me. The rest of the trip was pretty good fun, and I truly enjoyed the experience inside the car research. The environment gave me the opposite impression than that of the chairman's presentation. It all exuded genius and authenticity. This is the way indigenous populations protect forests in Guinea. This is how they live. Nothing is decorated with an agenda. That was a very refreshing experience. Of course, like everyone, I really adore swimming in the synopsis because we were free to do what we wanted for an hour and a half, and it was awesome. Swimming in such beautiful environments is just good fun for me. I love the 7-meter drop and the freezing water below me. It was a harmonious, peaceful experience. So yeah, the first trip was a pretty cool experience. Thanks, teacher.